heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Many thanks for joining us on today's edition of Razep Africa. Again, we are here not just to give you updates across Africa, but to tell you how you can contribute your quota into for the country. Like my father would always say, if we all sweep the front of our homes, the entire country would be clean. With that, I say welcome once again. But first of all, we'll go for the African news update this morning, where we begin at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where U.S. President Donald Trump has called for talks between Egypt and Ethiopia to resolve the long-lasting dispute over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Both Egypt and Sudan view the dam as a threat to vital water supplies, and Trump emphasized the need for negotiation to avoid escalating regional tensions. Meanwhile, in Davos also, Nigeria is making its mark on the global stage. The Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says the country can capture global supply chain opportunities to drive job creation, deepen infrastructure, and reduce import dependence. Speaking at a discussion hosted at the Nigerian House, she highlighted how geopolitical tensions and trade disruptions are prompting companies to diversify production, and she urged Nigeria to actively market itself to prospective investors. Now in Central Africa, the Republic of Congo has scheduled its presidential election for March 15, 2026. Incumbent President Denis Sassou Nguesso has been in power since 1997 and has already been nominated by his party, while other potential candidates prepare to contest the vote in a country with a history of political tensions. Moving away from that now to West Africa, Guinea-Bissau junta has set presidential and legislative elections for December 6, 2026. This, however, follows last month's military coup that suspended the previous presidential vote. Transitional leader General Hota Ntam says the election aims to prevent violence between rival factions, while ECOWAS has called for a short, transparent transition. Several opposition leaders remain in custody. Turning now to Ivory Coast, President Alassane Ouattara has reappointed Robert Bourguiba Bambi as Prime Minister following December's parliamentary elections. Mambe, a seasoned technocrat, will now form a new government after his party secured commanding majority, signaling continuity after Ouattara's October presidential victory. And finally, in Southern Africa, Angola Opaya Group has launched the country's first domestic vehicle assembly plant in Luanda. The facility, operated by Opaya Motors, has capacity to produce 22,000 light vehicles and 1,000 buses annually, marking a major step towards boosting local manufacturing and reducing reliance on import. And that's it for the African update this morning here on Razep Africa. We're going for a short break. When we return, it will be time to discuss leadership, to discuss building Africa, and to discuss peace. There's so much to discuss as I have my guests already seated here in the studio. I'll unveil them after this short break, so don't go nowhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Welcome back from that. Now it's time to discuss how conscious leadership can build peaceful societies, in Africa. In the studio, I think I'll just start with Dr. Kings Oshifade Kayode, founder and convener of the Holy Kings Impact Foundation and African Elite Award. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much, Joy. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we also have Professor Priska Ndu, social impact advocate. She's so much more. I'll just do a quick one on her very lengthy profile right here. Prof is a social impact advocate and a multi-sector entrepreneur. She has led turnkey economic and social development projects both at federal, state levels in Nigeria. She's highly sought after, of course, and revered economic advisor and discussant on global economic matters. She is also and currently the executive vice chairman of Indeco Group. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you.
Right. Your profile is quite extensive. I have very wonderful people right here in the studio. But before you go ahead, what is Indeco Group? What do you do there?
So Infrastructural Development and Energy Company Limited, Indeco Group, is an infrastructure solution provider. So we do work for states and federal government in about 7 sectors: real estate, oil and gas, agriculture, education, technology, waste management. And our primary state we're working with is Lagos State government. So we've been doing a lot of work with Lagos State in the area of infrastructure solutions, and everything we've done for them is novel.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Not just first in Nigeria, first in Africa. So we brought them the road printer that practically prints out the road, like the name goes.
Wow.
And then we provided solutions to upgrade their asphalt plants to begin to manufacture cold asphalt.
Oh, wow.
So that in rainy season, you don't have to stop road works.
Right.
You know, so that way you can ensure that roads are done speedily, and that's why you see the mass work
wow,
that Lagos State government is doing in the area of road infrastructure through the Lagos State Public Works Corporation.
That's novel. Do other do other state governments know this is? Because it often, I can't understand it sometimes when in the 21st century, the entire roads are blocked because it's raining and nothing can be done until the rains go. When we see in other parts of the world, in such issues,
mundane issues, absolutely. That shouldn't be a challenge in this day and age, absolutely. Well, we've had consultations with Ogun State and also with Abia State, where I'm from, and we hope that in the near future we'll commence work with them.
Wow. Well done for the work that you do, but let's move on from building infrastructure now to talking about building Africa. So I think I'll just come back to you when we talk about conflict, especially in Africa. Leadership is often mentioned as the issues right there. From your experience, how much of today's leadership problems do we have rather than security problems if you look across Africa?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joy, for that question. I think that's, I'm very happy for this question, but that's what I stand for. My name once again is Dr. Kings Oshifade Kayode, founder, African Elite Award and Only Kings Impact Foundation. And I tell you, you can't talk about corruption, you can't talk about insecurity, you can't talk about anything on earth without talking about leadership. They are traceable to leadership. And I tell people we need to understand that leadership is not just an office, but an acceptance of responsibility. What do we have now? We don't just have people that, and leaders does not eat first, they eat last. But people we have as our leaders, they do not just eat first, they take what belongs to everybody. So I wonder, what are we practicing? And I think this is the right time, because I tell people problem does not solve problem, solutions solve problem. So instead of we as a youth ranting, talking on social media, we need to start walking the talk. That's why we bet what is called Holy Kings Impact Foundation. Because in Holy Kings Impact Foundation, what we do is that we love impact. Because everything about life is traceable to impact. God said love yourself the way you love your neighbor as you love yourself. Right. And you can't love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. Absolutely. And all of this thing is traceable to quality impact. That's why I said in one of my quotes that making impact is superior to making income alone. Wow. And you can't be impacting life and be stranded. Joy, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, please.
Have you seen a pipe that carries water that lacks water?
Absolutely
what
not.
you give out to people, you can't lack it.
Absolutely.
So I think what we should be doing now is we need to start betting quality leadership through impact. So let's not just talk. We've talked a lot. Let's start walking the talk. That's how we are here outside. And we know the reason why things are like this, we see people that has something to offer. They say they're an introvert. While the riffraff, they are out there having millions of followers. So the youth are following the wrong thing.
Okay.
We need the right models.
Okay, so we will get to young people right now. But what's your thoughts or contribution to that conversation as well? When we say leadership in Africa, is it what's fueling the issues we already have right here, or would you say there are other issues that's not tagged or concerned with leadership?
Okay, people make the mistake to think that leadership is a title. Leadership is not a title. Leadership is a service. Leadership is an intention. Leadership is a mindset. So you see leaders across the entire value chain. I don't have to be the head of a team to be a leader.
Absolutely.
When I display leadership, abilities, when I take on tasks that show that I have the interest of everyone at heart, when I take on responsibilities that show that I have the interest of the group at heart, then I am displaying leadership abilities. So some people say leadership is motivational, leadership is inspirational, leadership is inborn. However, I want to say that leadership is altruistic. It's not about self, it's about others. How can I lead in a way that inspires people to do what I am recommending to them to do? Leadership is about followership. If I am leading a group of people and I cannot inspire them to do the things I'm asking them to do, then I have failed as a leader.
Absolutely.
And that's why we see that in Africa today, because values are more about self-aggrandizement, more about selfish goals, as opposed to altruistic values that would engender acceptability by the people, because they can see and trust you, that you have their interest at heart. We don't see that across a lot of our African leaders. We have good examples like, I don't want to mention names, you know, but I can say Kagame.
Of course.
You know, these are selfless leaders. You know, we can say, you know, our own president in some ways has exhibited, exemplary leadership, taking on the mantle of leadership and being bold enough to do the most difficult thing that past presidents have not been able to do. Removing subsidy will make you very unpopular.
Absolutely.
And set you up from failure from day one.
And yet.
But he did that.
And stood by it, by the way.
And it will take many years after for us to begin to see the values of that. Maybe execution down the line has not been smooth, has not been seamless, has not been effective, because some things could have been done better.
Absolutely.
For instance, it wasn't just about removing the subsidy. You should have been able to create buffers in the system.
To absorb.
Yes, absolutely. To absorb the hardships that is a natural outcome of a drastic decision like that. So I want to believe that when our leaders in Africa begin to see themselves as role models, begin to see their leadership as service delivery, as opposed to, you know, power play or enriching yourself. So it has become a competition about who has the most assets, who has collected. You see governors talk about, oh, I have houses in so and so places.
I drink very
the day you die,
wine.
you take nothing with you.
Absolutely.
Nelson Mandela is celebrated until the end of times because he was a selfless leader. He was a leader who brought about comfort, who brought about liberation, who brought about convenience for his people. We're not talking about how much assets he left behind. We're talking about the lives he touched. We're talking about the leadership, the impact he created in our generation. And we'll continue to talk about him tomorrow. Absolutely. So our leaders should begin to learn that leadership is about impact. And to understand that legacies that they leave behind lives years after them. And that's what they'll be remembered by.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Kings, I mean, she has made very important points there. However, I struggle also to understand why when opportunities are given to certain leaders, they beg for an extension. I mean, we go over and over across Africa, especially. We have leaders, political leaders, who do not want to leave office. I don't know how to marry it to the development or the state of Africa right now. But if you have to choose, pick and choose, which is, do you think right now that the state of Africa is because of the need for, like she said, gain assets, have that, use that opportunity to grab as much as you can, is a bragging right instead of doing the work?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think in Africa, the problem we have, we don't have a hurricane, we don't have a
environmental disasters.
All the disaster we have is leadership problem, which is worst period to any kind of disasters, because our leaders fail to understand the real meaning of leadership. You know, leaders is superior, is beyond just I want to be in an office, is beyond just I need a name for myself. You know, because if you are really there to serve, you know, beg to come and serve, because you know there's a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
But because the way they understand leadership is not just to serve, but to create a portion for themselves, to enrich themselves. That's why a lot of the leaders in Africa, the way they end is so miserable. I'm sorry to use that word. You know, we fail to know what's real leadership, and the problem, you know, we need to, and for us to understand the real meaning of leadership, we need to unlearn relearn and learn. Because the mindset we have about leadership is not the right mindset. That's why things are the way it is. So if we want to understand the real leadership, we need to unlearn